How's that?
That's great.
Is that enough?
That's great.
Awesome.
Hey,
You get the
everybody.
flavor?
Usually I call this the donut interviews. Today, we're going to call it the organ interviews.
Okay.
Joining me here, or I'm joining her here in her home, Nancy Faust of
Great
the
to have
Chicago
you
White
here,
Sox.
Chris.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Amanda.
you.
Yeah.
And my wife
Thank
as well,
you.
sitting in the background. You're the soundtrack to all my White Sox memories.
Oh my goodness. That's quite
Not
a title.
just me, probably any White Sox fan who's been around since the 1970s.
Well, in the 1970s, it was able to be a soundtrack because I was the only music provider.
Right.
So, it was
41
the sky.
seasons.
Yeah, after all, that's
Right.
right. My last one was 2010.
That's a long time. Over 3,000 games.
That's right. Well, you did your homework.
I
Chris.
tried. Only missed 5
games,
days.
thanks to my son, Eric.
Right.
Our son.
You couldn't make those 5? You couldn't. Like,
Well, the timing was great because then the Sox went out of town for like 10 days. And so by the time they returned, I was ready to come back to work. I said, Joe, you take care of this.
did it ever feel like a job in those 41 years? Or just was it always a joy?
It was joyful being surrounded by people that were having a good time. And they seemed to appreciate what I did. I think the most difficult part was just getting there because it was rush hour.
Yeah.
And then once I got there, it was like, now I can party.
The first year, was it the first year, first maybe couple of years, there was a petition to have you fired?
Well, the petition was circulated, I think, at my first game.
First game?
Yeah, the first game.
Well, that's not a welcome. How do you do?
No. But somebody must have known a woman was taking over, or just somebody who perhaps didn't know much about baseball, which they were right. Or perhaps I'm sure the prior organist had fans.
Right.
And so there's going to be people that are upset. And I thought, oh boy, this is the end of my short career. But my boss at the time who hired me was Stu Holcomb. And he said, forget that. Don't worry about that. He was always very supportive.
Was there one signature on the?
I don't know. Well, there couldn't have been many because that was a very dismal year regarding attendance.
Right.
What did they draw, like 300,000?
Sounds like that might have been, yeah.
And their record was, well, almost as bad as it is this year.
Is that
That's
possible?
how bad it was.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Where's that guy now? Who started that petition?
I don't know who it was.
Right, but I mean, where is he now? You 41 years and you've made all these people in Chicago joy and brought them joy.
Well, you know what? I really didn't find out just how much joy there was, I think, until I retired. And I reconnected with a lot of people. And they'd say, oh, you were our soundtrack. And when I hear a certain song, it's not the way you played it. I mean, if you attended a lot of games when I was playing, I guess you associated that sound with having a good time. I just happened to be in a position to make a memory, when kids were like 20 or 18 years old. Even now, when I hear a song from when I was in high school, I can just envision certain things about high school. My boyfriend's big and there's going to be trouble.
And that's all by ear?
Everything I do is by ear. Right.
You started playing when you were 3?
Oh, I think when I was 3 or 4, my folks bought this little electric keyboard that you plugged in. And I was picking up simple song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, maybe. And then my parents bought an organ very similar to this, a Hammond B3. Well, it was a B2 in those days. But they bought that from my mom. And I was about, maybe, by then I was a 5. And then I moved up to the 2 keyboards and was able to pick out simple tunes on the big organ, on the Hammond.
But you lost interest for a time. When you were 7, is that?
Well, I don't know that I lost interest. I don't know about that.
Did you have to be bribed?
Oh, I did for sure. Yeah. I mean, my dad was so excited to hear me to recognize something that I played, and he'd say, "Oh, you keep." Well, actually, my dad was really enthusiastic about what I did, but it was my mother that had the talent that I probably inherited. But my dad, he took me in for an audition for a local show called Morris B. Sachs Amateur Hour. And it was like a local version of American Idol. It was like talent from all over Chicago. And I was 5 and I played Glowworm. And I was on the show and I was first place. People used to phone in the votes or I'll send postcards. So that's when my career started. But it was really simple. Just, I'll play it. This is what I played.
Glowworm?
Yeah, this is how I played it. I'll bet. Yeah. That was glowworm. And now with the internet, you'll hear these kids playing fabulous stuff at that age. But, you know, I was in a good position to impress people.
It served you well,
Yes,
I think, over those 41 years. Do you know, I mean, your number of songs that you know, your catalog that you can, from memory, has to be huge.
Well, I mean, there's songs, if you said, could you play the jingle from a commercial? And if I know how it goes, I'll just play it, even if I've never played it before. So I guess I wouldn't know how many songs. As long as it's in my head, I can play it. But if a song came on the top 40, I'd have to play it over and over again before it sunk in. I would, you know, I had a little recorder and I'd play it like 8 bars at a time or something and try to get it in my head. Then I'd play the next 8 bars till I got the whole. But once it's in my head, it stays there. But commercials and, you know, theme songs from movies or TV shows, you hear them so much that you just can play them.
And you're the originator, because what was played prior to when batters would walk up to the plate? Just
I don't know. Nothing. I just know that when I was hired, Stu said, maybe you could play a song from each player's home state. And he gave me a list of players and their state songs, like California, Kansas, or Nebraska. And I knew all those state songs. So that's what I did. But then I ventured farther than that, and I realized, oh, this guy's got a number on his back. He's number 3 or number 7. You know, I could play the theme from the Magnificent Seven or Three is Company later on. Never Three Blind Mice. But you know, or you realize he has a Polish name, so you play a polka, or you know, there was just so much more that you could do with names. You know, I Want to Be Bobby's Girl, if the guy's name is Bob, or Won't You Marry Me, Bill, for Bill. Things like that.
Did you seem to notice more of a response from the fans when you started doing that? Right.
Well, yeah, my response was most noticeable when I was moved in from the center field bleachers where the first organist was that Bill Veck hired. Then I was moved in my 3rd year to right behind home plate in the upper deck. And then I was surrounded. By then, Dick Allen was a player, and we drew big crowds. And I had people all over me, all over the position where I was now. I mean, but yeah, and I got a lot of feedback and a lot of help from knowledgeable fans, and it was always well received. And I thought, I'm sitting on top of the world. People, they like me, you know. And it's easy, and it was just every night really was like a party. It was just great.
When did you notice, or when did you feel that so it was 1977, when you started playing Na Na, Hey Hey, Kiss 'Em Goodbye by Steam. Did that kind of start taking off or have a life of its own right away? Did you feel like the fans sort of clung to that?
It took off in one night, and that was the night that I guess a pitcher was taken out, and we were playing Kansas City in late July or early August, whenever that was. And we were vying for first place. And our fans were just electric. You know, they were responding to everything. However, they never sang like that. As far as responding, they'd respond to da, 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 you know, or are you happy and you know it, clap your hands. But nothing where they all sang together other than Take Me Out to the Ball Game or the national anthem. But this one night, so we took the player out and everybody just sang along, and it was just electric. And I remember it as I passed through the bars room after the game, a writer said, "What was that you played?" And I said, "It's called Shana Na." I didn't even know the right name of the song. I just knew it was something that short and you could sing along. And it was goodbye, you know. And I didn't know who made the song popular. And I still don't always know the correct name of a song or who made it popular. But if it has lyrics that work, it's good enough.
Was it exhilarating hearing all those fans?
Yes, it was.
It had to be.
And then I'd read about it later and how fans from players from other teams said they hated it. Yeah. It was, you know.
Well, now it's in the culture. It's everywhere, and it's at all sporting events play it, and it's even in other forms of
it got started
media.
there. But I mean, now we have DJs that are creative and organists creative, and there's a lot of things I think that can be sung along to. But that just seemed like a first.
Right.
And also the fact that I was playing songs for every player, that was kind of unique. But now it's called walk-up music, and it's not chosen by the organist. The song is chosen by the player. And now it's like, oh, what song do you like, player? Whereas, pardon me, when I played, I don't think the player was even paying attention. And had he been, I'd be in trouble. But, you know.
I still give you credit, though, for bringing that song to life and giving it a life of its own. And is that the gold record? I didn't get a chance to see it. You did.
I did.
From the band or the record label.
Yeah, because
Steam.
So then when the song took off, Mercury recorded it again, re-released it, and it sold a lot, all over the country. And so they presented me in a ceremony with a gold record before a game. And I remember Harry Carey saying, "Forget the gold record, give her the gold." But I was pretty proud of that. In fact, the museum in California, the Grammy, is it the Grammy? What museum is it for music?
Did we go? Wait, was that?
No, we went to the Academy Museum, but maybe the Grammy Museum?
Yes, I think it was the Grammy Museum. Yeah, they had an exhibit about music and baseball, and they borrowed that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll get a picture of that.
They came with a semi that carries art and statues, and it's refrigerated, and they took a few of my things. And it's refrigerated. I had like a pet like this, and it was a big deal. And they insured it for lots of money, and they kept it for a year. Yeah, for their exhibit. Yeah.
So you got that gold record. Do you also have a copy of your record that was released in the late 70s?
Oh, I mean,
I don't have to find it, but
yeah,
you do have.
There were a couple of albums
right.
that were made over the years, and a cassette that the White Sox made. Oh, I've got dozens of those in the basement. If you have a cassette player, you're welcome to a few.
It was, what was it? The I forget what it was called.
Crowd pleasing favorites.
Yeah. Nancy Faust at the game.
Oh, that
favorite organ melodies on location, Chicago Stadium and Comiskey Park.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that was
right.
77 or 8.
Yeah,
maybe.
it was. And it was when we were just starting to sing "Nana Goodbye." It was like that year.
Okay.
That fall. and that was when Billy Martin was managing the Yanks, and he was pulled from a game. They threw him out, and it was recorded live. And I remember saying, "Roll it, roll it!" And so we got to hear everybody was singing "Nana Goodbye" to Billy Martin, and it felt so good.
Was the audio from the organ always on? So like, if you played something at any time, everyone's going to hear it at Comiskey?
It might have been. I don't know. But I think later on it was more sophisticated with the scoreboard. I think they could turn me on and off.
All right.
I think so.
So, but basically, you can play whenever you wanted.
I did.
Like when Billy Martin gets thrown out, you can play him off.
Nobody ever curtailed my, creativity.
Right.
It wasn't like that later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it had to be fun back then.
It was. And I probably didn't realize how great it was until they took my craziness away,
What else do I have to ask you? Nancy Faust night, the first one in May 1st, 1979.
Yeah, there was a Nancy Faust night. Well, Bill Veck, he had a promotion for everything, including Nancy Faust, and it included tickets, my picture on the ticket, which I have some, I don't know where it is. I've got a lot of things in the basement. But yeah, so that was on I think it was the 10th year that I was there, but I'm not certain. Maybe not. But yeah, he had a Nancy Faust night. And of course, you might ask me about another wacky promotion that he had. Well, we all know about Disco Demolition. But he also had all of his promotions seemed to involve door prizes that kept fans engaged. Win or lose, we might win something, might win a prize. Well, one of the prizes at one of his promotions for Ragtime Night was a live donkey. And because nobody claimed it, I did ask if I could have it. And he said, sure, he'd let me take that home. So that started my love of donkeys, because I've always loved animals. In fact, when I was a kid, I loved animals much more than I did playing a keyboard. But this came easy, and getting a horse didn't come so easy. I had to make some money first. But so he let me have that donkey, and I had her for a long, long time until she passed away. And I got another.
And you've had donkeys ever since.
Yeah, and that was like 74, I believe. So how many years ago was that? 40 years ago?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, no, 50.
Is it?
74. Was it 74?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
How can that be?
So can I ask you maybe if you have some memories like from the 77, like the South Side Hitmen? Do you have any memories of that year in particular? Just that I know it's a big deal because they weren't expected to do well. Right. From what I read, it was a ragtag team. Yeah.
I really, as I watched ball games, I'd go home at night and all I could tell you is if the Sox won or lost.
Right.
I didn't understand the game, the ins and outs. So, or who did what, except for Richie Allen. I mean, he just, he commanded respect when he walked up to the plate. And he also put me on the map because when I played Jesus Christ Superstar for him, that was just another walk-up song. But that, the Sports Illustrated noticed that because they wrote about him and they said he even has a song. And so, I mean, thank you, Richie. But I was doing it before that. But when you associated a song with Richie Allen, it really meant something.
Right.
And he was deserving of it. And I'd played Jesus Christ Superstar, and then he hit a home run. And it's like, oh, that's because she played my song, but not really.
Was 2005 the year they won the World Series? Does that have fond memories? Because it was just a fun year because they were winning a lot of games.
Yeah, it was great because as you know, they remained in first place the whole season.
Right.
I'll bet we've been in last place the whole season this year.
I think the Sox have been in last
Either way,
place.
so we win by good or bad. So that was exciting, and I think what I really enjoyed was the parade.
Right.
Afterwards, just how well behaved everybody was, and it was like everybody came out. I'm sure there were Cub fans among Chicagoans.
I believe there were. I saw some.
No problems. Right. Another time that really struck me was the last game at the old ballpark, when I think we were expecting people to tear the turf and take the bases, and they had the mounted patrol ready to create, so everything would be just cool. But no, it was just a game of sadness. When the game ended, people just sat in their seats, didn't want to move, just wanted to cry, savor the old park.
And did you play a song, the last song?
Oh, I remember playing Old Lang Syne.
Right. Okay.
And this used to be my playground.
Nana
Goodbye as well.
Yeah.
I always it seemed like my games, every time I'd finish playing, I'd end with a song called Never Can Say Goodbye. I just liked that song, and that was like my signature to myself, anyhow. Signature sign-off song. It was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I remember that. Do you have any questions that maybe popped up in your head while I was asking? Or you're good?
Well, when you were playing, did any of the players ever come to you to request certain songs, or it was always kind of your decision?
It's just up to me. I've met very few players. Over the years, I might play for a function that a ball player would be a guest at something, or a baseball themed party like Pitch and Hit Club, and I'd get to say hello and meet players. But the organ's up here and they're down there. So I didn't have much interaction with players, which, and like I said, they were just concentrating on what they had to do.
Right.
But now they have a layer of, it's like, what song do you want to hear? And it better be the right one.
Right. Yeah, it's very scripted almost now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, now, yeah. And I think recording companies will say, could you like my song? And then they can announce it. So there's money to be made.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
That's
different.
Cooper.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. I think we're good. Thank you so much, Nancy Faust. It's been a tremendous honor and a pleasure to get to
here's
talk
something
to
that I'm most proud of that you might want to get a shot
I
of.
will. What is it? I
This
can't
is
see.
a letter from President Obama.
Oh,
That's
wow.
pretty.
So that was a highlight of my career.
get
And
a
I
pic-
wasn't even working anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
You want to play us out with Na Na Na?
Sure. Okay, sure.
Hey, is that okay?
Sure. Uh-huh. Oh, I don't know why I did that, but that's
Ready for some music?
okay. Do me like this.
Nancy Faust, thank you so much.
Okay, she's going to do a trick. She's going to jump, and then she's going to stand in her hoop over there. Over here. Stand in there. Right. There. Ta-da. Good girl.
That is great.
Good girl.